We are back for Roundtable Rams, episode number 27. Again, I am going to keep driving this point home. Please, everybody, if you like what you hear, go like, subscribe, share, do all the things for us, please. It helps exposure and all that good stuff, and it's really good for our site. In the description of this video will be the official Roundtable Rams site. You can go and join there. It's free to create an account. All news, analysis, and everything will be on that site. Training camp is about here, so we will be adding a lot more content for that and continuing and hopefully wrapping up our training camp breakdown today, right now. We're going to jump right into it, starting with the linebacker group for the Rams. As we all know, the main man in the building is Nate Landman. Landman has played very, very well, and oddly enough, he was left off of the top linebacker rankings for ESPN. Not even getting any votes or an honorable mention just seems kind of weird, but it is what it is. Moving right along, there's Omar Spates, Grant Stewart, Sean Dolock, Elias Neal, and then Nikai Hill-Green. So, obviously, the biggest question here is who is going to be stepping up alongside Landman. Landman has been I wouldn't say he's not a, one-man show here. That's unfair to say, but there needs to be somebody that does need to step up and play at his level because the linebacker group itself is lacking on the defense. Of all the units on the defense, I would say the linebacker unit has the most questions in terms of who is that next guy up besides Nate Landman, or it's going to be next to Nate Landman. Omar Spates is the clear favorite there, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's Sean Dolock, maybe it's Grant Stewart. We don't know. Training camp is going to definitely be showcasing that of the linebacker group, so we will see what happens.
Yeah, and I think it's a contract year for Byron Young and Omar Spates, right? So in a way, got a lot to prove, a lot to show that they can be the guys to keep, showing up alongside Landman. So I think that could be a push and a drive for them because, as we say, if it's not on this team, it's on another team. You want to show that you can contribute elsewhere. So I think that we'll see them step up. And I mean, alongside these other incredible stars that they have alongside them, how can they not be inspired to do their best and pursue, greatness alongside them? And I think it's harsh to be this is the weakest of an incredible defense that we think are going to do amazing things this year. But it just shows that the spoils of riches that the Rams have this season.
Yeah. That's very, very true. Yeah, Landman was incredible. It's weird because the Rams never really develop any linebackers. They don't really go out and draft any linebackers. So they decided to take a swing at Landman, and they signed him to a one-year deal last year, and they didn't even wait until December hit. They signed him late November, signing him to a 3-year extension. They're like, "You're our guy. We're gonna keep you." And I mean, can you really blame them? He was really fantastic for them last year. But that really is a big question. Outside of him, who else is there? Omar Spates has shown some flashes. This is a year where those flashes are not going to be enough. He needs to be a consistent threat, a consistent linebacker too, outside of Landman. That's very, very crucial for this team. The two questions I do have is, if they feel like it's not enough, are they going to go out and sign a veteran linebacker? Because there's some options out there. You still have Bobby Wagner out there. You have Kenneth Murray, who's still pretty young, played with the Chargers and Cowboys as well.
And Wagner did play for the Rams previously, so
exactly, yeah, he did. So there's clearly some familiarity there too, as well. You have guys like Logan Wilson. Just reading off maybe a couple of names who could probably fit: Logan Wilson, Devin Bush, Matt Milano, right? So there's still a handful of guys out there who the Rams could go after if they feel like the linebacker group is not enough right now. And then the second question I have really is Spates, what kind of role is Spates gonna play? I mean, how are these other maybe linebackers are going to kind of fill in that role? Grant, he could fill in that role, but he's maybe more so special teams wise. The depth here is really a concern. So if maybe Landman, maybe he's not performing as well as he did, can you really count on Spates to kind of fill that type of role? So Yeah, just really like the depth outside of Landman, and if Spates could really take his game to the next level, and if that's not enough, will the Rams possibly sign a veteran?
I
I
don't
mean,
see why they wouldn't. They've had been happy doing it elsewhere.
they could always, use Byron Young in a more traditional linebacker role as well, especially because if Aaron Donald comes back, him and Miles Garrett are going to take the defensive line positions for sure, the defensive edge position. So you could consider they maybe use Byron Young in that way. I don't know. But I mean, exactly what you said. Somebody has to step up because Nate Landman had 132 total tackles, 2.5 sacks. He had 8 tackles for loss, 6 passes defended, 1 interception, and four forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Beyond that, Omar Speights had 85 tackles and 1 pass defended. It's just not enough. Obviously Byron Young is Byron Young. He had 12 sacks and that dude was all over the field, but other than that, in the traditional linebacker role, they need somebody to step up, and I wouldn't put it past them to definitely go out there and sign somebody else. Especially because if that's like the weaker unit or the weaker link. And again, this is what training camp is for. They're going to see who they have in the building, and then they're going to determine if they need to bring anybody in. And as you just said, Billy, and as we know, they're not afraid of bringing anybody in. If they need somebody to come in, they're going to do so. And I mean, more so than that, again, that's what training camp is for. You get to see who's going to step up and be like, all right, like I want that role opposite of Nate Landman, so I have to step up and get it done. And if they don't get it done, then you're going to get replaced by a younger player coming up, or they're going to go and get somebody that can do it. So,
I
No,
mean,
yeah,
does this maybe indicate that those Aaron Donald conversations are moving along? Maybe they're not worried about it because of that.
could be, could very well
yeah.
be.
Yeah, it could be. And then like I just think about too like the other question I had was like if if this linebacker group could even play solid like no sorry so like if the defensive line does their job like how much that could benefit the linebacker
Yeah.
group, right? I mean Spates wouldn't even have to take his game to like another level. He would just need to improve just a little bit just because of like the opportunities that he'll have. So that's really another thing. Like if the line does their job, then the line I mean I think the linebacker group could benefit, beneficially, especially if they feel like a veteran is still needed, or maybe a guy like they bring back a guy like Wagner who, could because in 2022 he was pretty good for the Rams. That was a season that people kind of forget because of all that happened and with their injuries and whatnot. But Wagner himself was really good.
Yeah, I mean, they could very well. Wagner's still Wagner. He's still a ridiculously good linebacker at his age, and he's ultra dinosaur at this point. So still he's still Bobby Wagner. He's still legitimate, and I would not have put
And
it
a
past.
presence as well,
Oh,
just to get
exactly,
those guys together.
exactly. But moving right along to a unit that's definitely had seen a huge upgrade and should not be a problem, except for one thing, is the cornerback room as well. As we know, the Rams went out and completely changed the room by bringing in Trent McDuffie and then signing Jalen Watson as well. Two huge pickups for them. Both are not only good cover corners, good in coverage, but they're also really good run stoppers themselves. So I think the idea is to stack the box as much as possible and to be able to get in the face of quarterbacks like Sam Darnold and everybody else that could potentially pass on them. And then you have Emmanuel Forbes there, as a backup. Cam Lampkin, Dre Norwood, Auxilian Hamilton, and then Nazir Forquarian. I don't know how to say his name, so I'm sorry if I butchered that if you're listening. But anyway, similar to the linebacker group, I think the depth is a concern. It's a really big concern because if either one of those guys goes down, you're kind of in a really tough spot. That's not to say that Emmanuel Forbes is not a solid corner. I think he is, but you spend all that money on Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, and any one of the pair or the pair go down, the depth that you have in that room is not going to be good enough. You're going to be back to where you were and probably in a worse spot. Emmanuel Forbes would be the lead guy there. And yeah, beyond that, it's kind of rough. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's the only thing. And obviously, nobody is saying that that's a guarantee that anybody's going to get hurt, but injuries do happen. So that's the main concern. I mean, Forbes what he had 14 starts, 3 interceptions, not bad. 18 passes defended, 45 tackles. He did really well. Let me see. Also, yeah. Okay, so he did kind of well. 56.6 completion percentage. That's pretty good. But 93.3 passer rating. And he gave up 6 touchdowns. That's not good. The 6 touchdowns is definitely what you don't want from a cornerback. But in terms of his overall production, not bad. You know what I mean? And a lot of times too, when you see those touchdowns, it could be like a tipped ball or it could be some sort of other situation that wasn't necessarily his fault, blown coverage, etc. Still, regardless, you need depth, and I don't think they have that right now in the cornerback room as well.
Sure. I think that it's exactly what we said about just like the situation between, the offense and that. They've built the team that they want to take to the Super Bowl and they're going all in on that. And that's the vision. I don't think they're planning for what ifs or like this, that. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. Maybe it puts everyone in a mindset, keep yourselves healthy, keep out of trouble. Don't be doing things that you shouldn't be doing, just really focus on this season. They're prepared they know that this is a team that there's no excuses for. They know that there's nowhere that they can really fill in after this. This is like, they got like the all-stars. They were like, right, everyone's like an Avengers moment. Like everyone assembled, this is what we're doing. We're going to the Super Bowl this year with Matthew Stafford. And so I don't think they've planned for that. I don't think that they will plan for that. I think that they know that the guys underneath them will just have to step up. And I don't think that they're like planning for not failure, but injuries and things. But I do think that we have seen in the last few seasons how that has impacted teams, not being prepared for those things, not being prepared to have, everyone would want to play on the Rams. There are so many guys that you could just call up and, trade for and that would want to be part of this. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we see more additions throughout training camp, but I feel like they're happy with what they got and they just expect that these are going to be the guys that stay healthy and go all the way.
Very true. This overall in the cornerback room was by no mistake. It's they went out and got Trent McDuffie because they feel like he's the guy. They paid him like he's the guy. They signed Jalen Watson because they believe he is the perfect complement to Trent McDuffie, and we've seen how that played out back in Kansas City when they're together. Like I said, this overall is no mistake. They don't have, who are the guys? They don't have Kobe Turner anymore. They don't have Ahkello Witherspoon anymore. They don't have Darius Williams anymore. Those were the top 3 cornerbacks in their room last year, and they got rid of them for a reason. They were 19th. They were ranked 19th in passing yards allowed. They allowed a lot of passing touchdowns as well, and they allowed at least 250 passing yards in every playoff game last year. They know that was a problem. Clearly, it's weird because like something in that second game against the Seahawks with Sam Darnold, like in the second half, like around the third quarter, something clicked with Sam Darnold, and after that, he was stellar. He was crazy with it. Like the Rams had his number in that first game and in that first half of the second game. After that, he just turned into like just an incredible quarterback. He had 0 turnovers as well, and we all know what happened in the NFC Championship game. He just carved up the secondary right there. So that was really a wake-up call for the Rams. They don't want that to happen again, and which is why they went and got McDuffie. They went and got Watson. Yeah, the depth is a concern. I totally agree, James, but the Rams are like, they're literally saying, F it. We're going to ride with these 2 guys, and these are the guys we trust. We're going to put them in the crucial moments. We paid them to put them in the crucial moments to step up big time, and that's really what they expect from them. Forbes is the only guy that the primary piece that they kept from last year. They did decline his 5th-year option. He's going to be a free agent at the end of this year, so it's really put up or shut up time for Forbes. Having him as a backup, that I think he's in a really good spot, but if things don't go their way and injuries happen or whatever the case may be, and he's slotted at that CB1, yeah, that's when you have some serious problems. But right now it's McDuffie, it's Watson, and it's Forbes as your top 3, and the Rams should feel really good about those top 3, at least way better than they did last year.
And I think you meant Kobe Durant. You said Kobe Turner.
Oh, thank you so much. Kobe Durant.
Kobe Durant. I always confuse them too because 2 Kobe's. Anyway, the secondary was on purpose. It was made to stop again Sam Darnold and everybody else that can potentially pass on them. Those 2 guys together on the field are magic. They did that with the Chiefs. They're going to do that with the Rams, especially because they have that supporting cast that can help them along. But again, anything can happen. We're not saying that's going to happen, but anything can happen. But health is a big, big factor, and that leads us right into the safety room because there's a guy there that we know that's fantastic when on the field, Quentin Lake, but he's got some injury issues. He missed some time last season. Hopefully, he can make it through a full season this time around. But they got Cameron Kitchens, who everyone believes, or rather, a lot of people believe that he could take that next step up and can be that guy in 2026. And then you have Jalen McCullough, Josh Wallace, Tanner Ingle, Nate Valcarcel, Alex Johnson, and Nick Anderson. Again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your names. Please forgive me. But, Quentin Lake, again, when he's on the field, even he actually got some votes for being in the top safety group, even though he missed like 6 or 7 games, whatever it was, in 2025. But that's the thing, is the secondary, like I said, has to be healthy. All of them have to be healthy. Injuries, as we know, can derail everything very quickly, especially for the Rams, because in my opinion, they have really good starters, but it's the depth that always is a concern, in the sense that, like, they're not on that same level, obviously, because the starters are so good. And I don't think they can be on that level. That's not to say that they don't have quality backups. It's just when one goes away, everything kind of unravels pretty quickly. So 2023, Lake played in 14 games, and 2025 he played in 10, 9 in 2022. So I mean, like, he's got to stay healthy, but when he's healthy, he's fantastic. He's magic on the field. He's that defensive leader. They paid him, obviously. They gave him an extension because they want him in the building. And again, collectively, if they have Cam Curl, they have Quentin Lake, they have Jalen Watson, and they have Trent McDuffie all in the field at the same time, that secondary should be rock solid. It should be very, very good and very hard for everyone to stop, period.
Yeah, I've said over and over again that the Rams defense is the thing that I'm looking at most with excitement this season. Like, I really want to see that they're going to be the guy, and I want them to stay healthy. I want that to keep being an entertainment pillar every single week, just tuning in and seeing them like dominate. Because really, like, if they don't, then I don't really know what all of this was for. Like, they need to be the unstoppable force. They need to be that wall that people just can't get past, because, like Buddy was saying, like, that was the downfall. When people can click onto it, it just takes like one thing, and then suddenly a quarterback will get his confidence and be like, right, I got this. I can just throw over and, pick out those weaknesses. And I do think that the depth issue is going to be an issue, because regardless of if it's like one game or whatever, like we were talking about last week, I don't know if you plan to ask us again, James, about whether it's going to be a 17-0 team. I think that, if they are, it is going to be down to the defense. I don't think it's, of course the offense is great, we know that, but I think that this defense is going to be the ones that kind of get them to that if they can. Do I think they're going to be? No. Mainly just because of the Seahawks, beyond anything else. But yeah, I really want to see if they're going to be the guys that we think they are. And I really hope that we have some, positive preview of that in training camp.
Let's save the 17-0 full talk to the end. But yes, we will. We can discuss that.
I was like, is someone going to ask me? I'm itching.
Not yet. Not yet.
Actually just started that right now too, Billie. We haven't touched that. Training camp.
Then we'll talk about that.
It is about it.
The secondary was clearly an issue for the Rams. That's what we're talking about right now. But clearly it was not the faults of Cam Curl and Quentin Lake. Both of them signed a 3-year extension with the Rams. They clearly like them. They clearly believe in them. And why not? Curl obviously made that potentially game-winning, game-saving interception on Caleb Williams against the Bears. Lake has been a stalwart with the Rams. Really, he's proven himself to be a leader, to be a force on safety. Although they don't have really bona fide superstar or anything like that, I really love their top three in Curl, Lake, and also Cameron Kitchens. Cameron Kitchens is heading to his third year. He's done really, really fantastic in his first 2 years. I think he had his first year, I think he had like 4 interceptions. He just went crazy, including like a 103-yard touchdown return as well. So Kitchens has proven himself to be a really, really good safety as well. So I really like this top three. And yeah, outside of the top three, it's kind of like a little wonky, but yeah, I think it's really the question about health for Lake. Because when he is on, he's a really really good. He's a fringe top 10 safety, and then when he's missing some time, that's when they have struggles. That's when you see a game last year like the Atlanta Falcons where who was the starting quarterback? Was it Penix? Was it I forgot who it was, but
It might have been Cousins.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was Cousins. Yeah, he was just carving them up. That's the reason why they went down 24-0 that game in the game after losing to the Seahawks. So yeah, obviously health is there, and then what I'm really looking at too is could Curl and Kitchens kind of turn themselves into like a really really good duo. I think they certainly have like the ball skills for it. They have the maybe not the size but the physicality as well. So if those two guys could really mesh well together, and then plus Lake doing his thing, really over the top, then I think this safety group would be great. And then if the defensive line again does their thing, then this trio wouldn't need to like do as much work really. But yeah, it's a defense, Billy. I think I'm totally on the same page with you. It's like the offense is the least of my worries, even though like the wide receiver 3 is like what everyone's talking about. It's really the defense. Can they all mesh well? Can the defensive line do their thing? We just talked about linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties. Like it's really the defense. Is all eyes will be on Chris Shula. I know he's done good in his first 2 years. This is the year, because if he doesn't get it done this year, no one's going to care about what he did in the past, really.
And he's going to be up for a job, surely, next year. Someone's going to want him for head coach. So this is his year to really show off with these guys.
Yeah. But again, like I said last time, I think the biggest thing here for the Rams is every unit in and of itself is good enough to prop up the other ones, but you don't want to run into a situation where that unit is underperforming in such a way that it takes away from any other unit. Defense, offense, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it's, I hate this damn word, but they have to work in lockstep. Freaking Sean McVay, stupid lockstep.
I actually forgot about that phrase.
I hope that they have chemistry.
I have to say it every time now. Like he burned it into my head. Anyway, they have to work in lockstep to really like make sure that they can get through to the end, get to the big show, and win the big show. That's the whole point, right? They certainly have the pieces. They have it on both sides of the ball. Nobody's denying that. But there's little cogs in the machine that if those cogs are not operating the correct way, things could fall apart very, very quickly. So that's for every team. I mean, but for the Rams especially, as we've seen, like you just brought up, the Atlanta Falcons game and Quentin Lake being hurt, and like look what happened. Like it's just a snowball effect. But yeah, I mean, they have the pieces. The everybody at the top level, the starters is fantastic at what they do. We know that as long as they are healthy. But moving right along to our last, because we do have time, we're going to talk about some special teams, because why not? Special teams make the world go round. Anybody that believes that special teams are not important, you do not know football. And
you just have to watch the NFC Championship game last year, because it certainly was important.
Exactly.
But as we know, we got thicker kicker in the building, Mr. Harrison Mevis, who has been fantastic. 92.3% accuracy. Ethan Evans is the punter and the holder. Joe Cardona, long snapper. Xavier Smith, punt returner. Jordan Whittington, kick returner. And then you have Ronnie Rivers, Blake Corum, and Kyron Williams that could get in the mix there. It's not quite evident who will be the punt and kickoff returner in 2026. I think that's what they're going to develop in training camp. And especially because, as we know, Xavier Smith had the muffed punt in the NFC Championship game that may or may not have been the nail in the coffin, the proverbial nail in the coffin for the Rams. We can go either. There you go. There's a lot of people that believe it was, and it could have been. But that being said, are they going to trust them again in 2026? There are some young players that have come in. There are some players that they could use. They can move people around. You know, if they're doing Kyron Williams and Blake Corum are splitting carries or not splitting carries, maybe Blake Corum goes and does returns. There's a lot of. They can do a lot of different things, and I think that's the benefit of their special teams unit right now. But maybe it's going to be still Xavier Smith, and maybe even Kanata Mumfield is going to get in there in a certain way. There's a lot of different directions they can take, but their special teams unit, as we know, was a big struggle. So they brought in Bubba Ventrone to now lead that unit, and the hope for the Rams would be that all of those issues the last couple of seasons will be corrected in a major way.
There was something in the water with special teams last year. It was every week. Special teams was just on every game, not just in the round, like everywhere across the league. Just I don't know if it's the new punt return like rule and they're just trying to figure that out, or if like it's still teething issue or what it was, but something every single week there was just a
That's good.
wow.
That's good.
Do you not have that phrase in America?
Teething? Yeah, like
Teething issues. Yeah.
Like babies teething like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said it's funny as hell.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, I'm saying it's teething issues over in the NFL because
Here's
like
a pacifier.
something
Be quiet.
truly because something's going on in the water over there. Every week I was just like, this what happened? And like craziness, like games being decided in the final few minutes just because of the like. So this is really important. You know, people laugh at special teams. They say it's not like a big deal. It's a massive deal, especially the last couple of years. I fully believe it was the downfall of the Rams last year in that NFC Championship game. They were doing well, and it really changes the momentum of a game. One thing goes wrong, and like suddenly, and there's like 4 minutes left on the clock. You're panicking, like. That's stuff you can't come back from, and you just need this unit to be secure, get out there and do their job. They spend the least time on the field. They should be secure. And I know that they have other jobs around, or like, you know, like Kyron Williams and Blake Corum have other things to be doing and when you use them, but they're not the ones that I'm worried about. It's the ones this is their job, show up every single week. So it's definitely going to be something that they need to work on and just get in step with and not have whatever clownery went on last season, because it wasn't just one occasion, it happened more than once, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, for the Rams, it happened more than once, and then again and again and again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking to you two beautiful football minds, James and Billy, but everybody else. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Football is it's 3 phases in football. There's 3. Offense and defense, we know, get the shine. We know they make the big plays and whatnot. Special teams. That's why they are called special teams, because they are special. They are special. And the Rams special teams, put it bluntly, they sucked. They sucked last year. It was so bad. It was so bad. You think back to week 3 against the Eagles. You think back even, this is forgotten because they won that game. 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter in the wild card round against the Panthers. They get their punt blocked. Mm-hmm. And the Panthers have the ball inside the 40-yard line and they score like
the Panthers.
The Panthers. I think they're going to be even better than they were last year, record-wise and whatnot. But yeah, still, I mean, like
that safety room. Want to talk about a safety room?
I mean, yeah, for real. But like people forget about that. They got their punt blocked, and then it took Stafford and a fantastic play by Stafford and Kobe Parkinson to win the game and whatnot. But like, it's over and over again. And of course, Xavier Smith, like this team had major struggles in special teams, but they recognized it, and they got this guy Bubba Ventrone, thank you, who has done really good in special teams. They got Grant Surratt, who we talked about in the linebacker position. He's going to be mainly, in special teams doing this thing there as a ace. And then they have the long snapper in Joe Cardona as well. So they really revamped this room. It was a need. And also too, guys, like it like the last year, it wasn't about whether the defense, well, cornerbacks, of course, but it was mainly so like, can the Rams convert on their extra points? Can they knock down field goals inside the 40-yard line? Sure, but like can you make like a 50 yarder or longer? Right, that was really the big question. And like now, I mean, that's still a question mark because obviously we got to see how everything plays out, but I think the Rams are in a better position. They addressed the needs. They knew this was a major weakness. Honestly, guys, this was like probably like their biggest weakness outside of like the cornerback position last year. It was a special teams unit. They addressed it, and now we just need to see how things play out. But like, if you want to talk about like the bright spots, it's definitely Harrison Mevis, who came on second half of the year and did great. James, like you said, 92.3% converting, and then Ethan Evans. Ethan Evans is really like the MVP of this special teams unit. I mean, you just think about like the one play, of course, that stands out is Week 11 against the Seahawks when he pinned them inside of the 1. Like I'm a really big golfer, so that's literally a hole in one right there. That was a hole in one, and honestly, if it was even at the 5-yard line, the Seahawks probably win that game because they give Jason Myers another 5 yards or whatnot the case, and he probably knocks it down, and next thing you know, you're 0-3 against the Seahawks. in the year instead of grabbing a win. So Ethan Evans is definitely the MVP of this group, and they look like they bolstered it, they revamped it, and on paper we got to see how it plays out.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. I'm trying to look up some Ethan Evans stuff real quick. He's 46.3 yards per punt average, which is pretty decent. Not the best, but you're right. And yeah, it's three phases. If your special teams does not do its job, you're looking at some tough sledding. Especially if you have a kicker that can't kick the field goals, because when you're playing tough teams that are defensive teams, the Rams are going to be playing those kinds of teams. They know how to operate in that. You need a kicker that can do his job. Obviously, that's Mevis, but still, if you're a team that does not have a good kicker, as we've seen, there's been, like, I think the Falcons with Young Hoku, and then they had to bring in like 3 or 4 other people. Like, you need that to operate at a high level. And now, again, hopefully the Rams have figured that part out. They brought a new special teams coach. Maybe they're gonna experiment with who's gonna be the kickoff returner or punt returner. But yeah, I mean, again, great stuff on both sides of the ball, including special teams on every side of the ball, if you will. But yeah, now let's ask again. I know, Billy, you voiced your opinion on the matter. I know I said this last week, and I will bring it up right now because we have a little bit of time. Are the Rams going to be a 17-0 team? No, not even a little bit. Not to me at all, because of their schedule. The beginning half of their schedule, a little bit more than half, is not that bad in terms of, yeah, they have the Eagles, they have Buffalo, they have San Francisco, but then they have a softer, the Chargers, Raiders, Cardinals, Commanders, and Cardinals again. Not saying that none of those teams are, tough or respectable, but I'm just saying in terms of, like, after their bye week, this is like the murderer's row of their schedule. They have the Packers, Chiefs, Frisco again. They have Dallas, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Seattle. So, you want to get
in prime time.
You want to get hot at the end of the season, but to get hot and stay hot against all of those teams is going to be very, very difficult to do. That is not to say that the Rams are not going to win a lot of games. I think they are going to win a lot of games. Being 17-0 is ultra hard in this day and age. The way that the league has changed, even when the Patriots did it, the league was vastly different then, and now it's not the same with penalties and everything else, and the kickoffs and everything, all the rules that have been implemented. I think it's so hard to go undefeated. If they go undefeated, like, this team is going to be talked about as probably the team. Everyone's gonna forget about the 72 Dolphins for sure if they go 17-0 and win the Super Bowl, and obviously make it all the way through, which is going to be more than 17 games. But regardless, it's very tough to do it. I don't see anybody being able to do it. If Aaron Donald even comes back, I just don't see it still.
No, completely agree. I don't. Just for any team, it's not even a slight on the Rams, it's just any team in the league. Like you said, it's such a different league nowadays. So many different rules, so many different factors go into it. And it's difficult, and they're in a tough division. And your division will always slip you up. There will always be those crazy games. Like the Cardinals could beat the Rams. That happens, just because they're playing them 2 times a year, every year for the last however long. They know how to hack into those things. So it's not a slight on the Rams, not a slight on their talent at all. It's just the fact that, like, it's so difficult. But if they do and they pull out the impossible, I think it will be because of that defense.
Yeah, to answer that question, no, they won't. 3 things: schedule, one of the toughest schedules, especially in the back half, like you said, James. Number 2, the wonkiness of the NFL. Like, random things happen all the time, and like you said, James, you nailed it right on the head. Like, the NFL is different. It's like, even like the worst team could give you a run for your money, and it's just weird. It's weird, the randomness of it. It's the week-to-week league. Like, you could blow out a team 43-0 next week, and then you could lose to like, no disrespect again, once again, like the Jets 23-20. Like
it happens.
The next week it happens, right? So it's just it's weird, and there's also to the talent. The NFL is just a more talented league than it was the last time the Patriots did it. So that's just another factor. And then also too, I think 3, and most importantly, why they won't do it, is that's not their focus. They don't care if they go 17-0. They don't care if they go 15-2. You know, if they take care of business, they win their division, even if it's at 11-6, 12-5. Sean McVay and the Rams don't care, man. They know what the goal is. They designed this team to be the last team standing, and that's really what it's about. They could limp into the playoffs if they want. If they're healthy and they're rolling at the right time, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, and especially
winning the NFC West is what matters.
Yeah, especially if they win the division and they don't need to have their starters out in week 17. They're not going to have their starters out, period. Like, to go 17-0, McVay's gonna be like, no, go rest. Like, I don't care if we're 16-1.
Exactly, yeah.
They have bigger fish to fry, which is in the playoffs and then getting to the Super Bowl. And again, you're operating under borrowed time because you really don't know when Stafford's going to retire. So you don't want to put him at risk. You don't want to put the season at risk for just for chasing greatness, if you will, or a record or whatever the case may be. But
I mean, their last 3 games, 2 of those are the Seahawks. So
Exactly.
like, they're gonna have to be on the field regardless, because I think they will be fighting down to the last thing. Because I think the Seahawks are gonna that division last year was one of the toughest. Those 3 teams were really battling it out. So
it could be Super Bowl hangover, though. They could not be the team that everyone expects them to be, but they
For
could
sure.
be.
Absolutely.
They could be even better. We don't know.
but the Niners are right there.
The Niners, everyone's looking over the Niners. I think the Niners, I didn't not maybe surprise people, but like they're still going to be that great team, especially on offense.
Yep.
And I'm saying it here because like I'm going to keep saying it. I think the Bears are going to be really good too. I think the Bears.
really high on the Bears.
I think the Bears are going to be better than they were. I think they got rolling last year. They're going to keep rolling, and then you still have the Eagles. You still have the Packers. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that are just unpredictable at every single turn. Sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they're not good. But there's just too many teams.
Yep.
But anyway, if you guys think the Rams are going to be 17-0, drop us a comment, argue with us, bring it up. I'll bring it up next week in the next podcast. Go for it. We can argue about this all day. But thank you guys so much for listening. This has been Rams Roundtable episode number 27. Yes, 27. We will be back next week, starting with some training camp talk, because that's what's happening. Training camp is finally here. We are a little over a month and a half-ish for football season. Yeah.
Month and a half-ish, yeah.
Month and a half-ish for
Official.
football season. Yeah. We're here. We're back. Football's back. Training camp's here. Preseason's right around the corner. Joint practices and fights are right around the corner. But thank you guys for listening.